All right, we'll go ahead and get started. This is the City of Durango City Council regular meeting. It is January 7th, 2025. The time is 5:30 p.m. Can I get a roll call?
Councillor Basmans,
Present.
Councillor Youssef,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Here.
Mayor Buell,
Here.
Councillor Woodruff.
Here.
Great. Item 1.1, the reading of the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement. This is a call to honor and respect Indigenous sovereignty and self-determination. As residents and visitors of Durango, we are called upon to educate ourselves about the history and cultural heritage of the land we inhabit. The city of Durango is situated on the ancestral homelands and territories of the Nuchu, Ute, Jicarilla Apache, Pueblos of New Mexico, Hopi Sinom, Hopi, and Dene Navajo nations. The original stewards of this land were forcibly removed and exposed to countless atrocities by the United States government, including repeatedly broken treaties, forced assimilation, the tragic legacy of Indian boarding schools, and the loss of ancestral homelands. We recognize lasting generational trauma exists within Native communities today. We affirm the continuing importance of ancestral sites to descendant communities as integral to the living cultural landscape. This acknowledgement only becomes meaningful when combined with accountable relationships and informed actions. May this serve as a step towards inclusion and reconciliation. All right, next item, item 2, introduction of translator.
Oh, they're right there. Liz, are you able to give your guys' introduction, please? Liz Torres, can you hear us? Well, she should be able to speak. Here. Center. Liz, you should be able to unmute.
Okay, there we go. Hi, thank you everybody. Good evening. My name is Liz Torres and I am here with my colleague B. Torres. We're here with the Community Language Co-op and we want to thank you for your commitment to language justice. And language justice is that everyone has the right to speak and be heard in the language of their heart. So today we're going to use Teams, and if you go to Teams to the More menu, you'll be able to select the language of your heart through the Language and Speech button, and you can select English or Spanish from there. I do please ask you to speak at a conversational pace so that we can provide an accurate rendition of your message. Buenas tardes, soy Liz Torres y estoy aquí con mi colega B. Torres y estamos aquí con la Cooperativa Comunitaria del Lenguaje para ayudar a el compromiso con la justicia del lenguaje, que significa que todos tienen derecho de hablar y ser escuchados en el idioma de su corazón. El día de hoy usaremos Microsoft Teams y puede tener acceso al menú presionando More o el menú de más de los 3 puntitos y allí puedes seleccionar lenguaje y puedes seleccionar inglés o español. Y así, si tiene algún problema, por favor, háganos saber. And we can go ahead and get started.
Great. Next item, item 3, opening remarks by Mayor and Council. Does anyone have any opening remarks? Okay. Item 4, presentations, proclamations. We have none. Item 5, city manager updates. None. Item 6, committee board and liaison reports. 6.1, the Airport Commission quarterly report is in our packet. Does anyone else have any reports from the last couple weeks? No, we had some. Oh, we do. Gilda. Okay.
Well, I'd like to report that I had a Merry Christmas.
Oh, good.
No, actually, I did attend the Ute inauguration, and I thought it was real fulfilling for the city of Durango to be represented there because I was making contact with the new counselors who got elected and also touched base with the older ones. And then I also attended the RHA meeting on the 12th, Regional Housing Authority meeting, and basically we did a roundup of the year and went over some of our projects. And I also did a webinar on tariffs by the Foreign Relations Committee, and I found that very interesting because sometimes I get asked by people about, well, what's going to happen with our finances in the future. And then I think that's, oh, I had office hours today and I had 3 people come and people were concerned about the reauthorization of the 205 tax. And it was mentioned to me that, and I thought it was a valid point, that there should be a designated committee associated with that ordinance. So I'm going to think that over really hard, and I think that's a good thing. And then also somebody talked about how to put more parkland into the vacant land into the park. And then another fellow talked about the water in Durango. So people are back on the issues here, so that's going to be great for the coming year. So I'm looking forward to dealing with all these issues. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Gilda. We did have a powerhouse meeting with the powerhouse and the fire department where we discussed access and different coming to an agreement. It was mostly the fire station and the powerhouse really coming into an agreement, but I was a part of that meeting. I was also a part of an executive series hosted by the Cat School of Business and the Alliance. And it was a workshop and a dinner, a gratitude dinner, and it was super great, lots of learning, lots of collaboration. Loved being a part of that. And then I've been a part of 3 meetings now with the county and the city trying to get to an agreement on the jail and the 911 comm center. And so I'm hopeful. I try to remain hopeful that we can continue working together and get to an agreement with our 2 parties. So that's what I've been doing. Next item is item 7, public comment on action items only. Can I have a reading of the public comment rules?
Public comment is encouraged on agenda items set for consideration and a vote by the council tonight. Public comments on items not set for consideration by the council come later in the meeting. Please begin your comments by stating the agenda items set for a vote you intend to speak on, your full name, and if you are a resident of the city of Durango. Make your comments directly to the council. Do not expect a response from the council or staff. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, unless modified by the council. Unused time is not transferable to other speakers. Comments must be specific to the item you identified when you began your comments. Profanity, hate speech, personally derogatory remarks, speech unrelated to the item you identified, or other speech that is disruptive to the meeting will be ruled out of order by the chair, and any remaining time will be forfeited by the speaker. Exceeding the time limit infringes on the rights of others and is out of order. Only a majority vote of the council can modify time limits. Please note, you must sign up prior to the mayor calling the item on the agenda. Signing up after the item is called will result in your name not being called to speak.
Great. We have public comment.
So Mayor, it looks like we have 4 people signed up to speak on 11.3. The first was Kathy Metz.
Good evening, Mayor Buell and members of the City Council. My name is Kathy Metz, and I am a resident of the City of Durango. I'm here on behalf of a citizens issue committee called Opt-in Durango in support of the initiative for the vote before the people in April of this year. The committee hopes to assist with helping sorting out misinformation about the measure and assure the community that the sales tax reauthorization is a good thing for everybody. By supporting this ballot issue, we are investing in safety, parks, and community. This is not a new tax, nor a tax increase. Developing a city hall and police facility will help promote public safety and city governance. Our quality of life will be enhanced by parks, open space, and trails with funding for ongoing maintenance for the existing assets for the next 30 years, and allowing for future projects such as developing a community park in Three Springs, developing Durango Mesa Park, enhancements to the Animas River, expanding the Animas River Trail and the Smart 160 Trail. In summary, the issue committee would like to encourage the City Council to approve this ballot language for the April 1st, 2025 election. Thank you.
The next person signed up to speak on 11.3 is Seth Brittany.
Thank you, Council. I am also speaking on the same subject and will just say that I'm sure you're all intimately aware that you're going to be voting on a resolution to establish a ballot for a 30-year dedicated tax extension to the 2005 tax, which is about to expire. And it's a big deal and a big opportunity for this community. The first 20 years from 2005 until now, the accomplishments from that tax have been extraordinary. You know, not only do we have a library, which is phenomenal, but we have extended and optimized our, I'll call it front country natural lands in ways that are ginormous. You know, places like Horse Gulch and Dalla Mountain Park quite possibly wouldn't exist, or they'd be so checkerboarded as to be ineffectual. And so it's been an extraordinary accomplishment. And I think the idea of extending that holds terrific promise. It's important for people to realize it's a 30-year tax extension. That's no small thing. It's going to generate somewhere between $200 and $300 million over that period of time, half of which would be to dedicate it towards a bond to build a new police building and a new city hall up near Buckley Park, which I think holds a lot of merit. The other half would continue to be invested in parks and space trails, which are not a self-funding opportunity. This is kind of the outdoor free recreation that we all love and enjoy, and for which many people came here. And therefore, to invest in that, or continue to invest in that more accurately, is, I think it's almost elementally the reason why we're here and why we should continue to invest. I would ask that Council, given that I've read the ballot language and I know that it leaves the definition of public involvement somewhat vague, that the Council commit to inviting residents to participate in prioritizing how those parks, open space, and trails dollars over the next 3 decades is spent, as opposed to having it controlled more honestly limited within staff. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think the public wants to be engaged in these really high value, high interest areas, and to invite them to that reflects their contribution to pay the taxes for the next 30 years. You know, up until not too long ago, there were a variety of dedicated boards, or boards that had issue-specific involvement and expertise. And I would invite the Council to reevaluate whether it's appropriate to establish a board of that nature to help oversee the spending for this dedicated tax for the next 3 decades. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have 2 more people on this topic. The next is Sweetie Marbury.
Happy New Year. My name is Sweetie Marbury, and I'm a Durango resident, and I'm a former city councilor and mayor. And I came tonight to support the reauthorization of the 205 sales tax for the following reasons. 1, it's no new taxes is a message to the public. We're just trading debt for debt, and that's okay. Maintaining what we have with our parks, trails, open space is essential to not only our economy, but also to the residents who live here. Selling the police department and the city hall will offer a redevelopment opportunity to Durango. And I think that's crucial. This is important land that should be redeveloped. Freeing up parking spaces in the downtown by the PD will benefit all of us and will help cure some of the overcrowding in the neighborhoods. The PD is desperate and has been desperate for too long to move out of their leaky shoebox. We owe it to the men and women who protect us every day to provide a better and a safer place. And the 9R building is historic, and I think it's a gem. We all look at it as a beautiful space. And finally, I urge the City Council to establish a Parks and Recreation Board to prioritize the capital projects and offer the public a place to go specifically designed to be able to speak to handle the 205 funds. I feel it's very important that we have a Parks and Rec Board. We've had it for decades before any of you ever sat here. And most of us who have been on City Council have participated with Parks and Rec, the natural lands, and we found it very beneficial. We had experts who volunteered their time and their hearts and their love for Durango. Bringing back that board will show the public that you're investing in their thoughts and giving them a chance to prioritize projects instead of going to the capital projects going to the financial board. I've attended the financial board meetings. Here's the staff, here's the projects. Yes, it goes. And very few people appear at the financial advisory board meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next person signed up to speak on this topic is Karen Anisi.
My name's Karen Anisi, and I'm a city resident. I just want to say that I'm really pleased to support the extension of the 2005 sales tax, and I'm especially concerned about the sensitivity of public buildings going for public use, public reuse, and I'm glad that you're taking a look at what I think is the crown jewel of the historic buildings in the community. I like what the city has done thus far. I think it's very important that, you know, we honor having a home for our police department and our city staff, and having them together and unifying that is just such a, I think, a good move, and a good move not just for now, but for 30 years down the road. It's money well spent. It also supports the fact that the public has paid for this, and it makes sense to look at both entities, but the police department and the city hall is a need. You know, it's a need. We have needs, we have wants, and I'm happy that we can support the wants, but I think it's essential, it's critical that we support the needs. So I hope you will approve the ballot language. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 4 people signed up to speak on 11.4, the resolution regarding organic waste management research. The first is Bailey Fogel.
Hello, my name is Bailey Fogel. I'm a resident of Durango. I'm speaking on the 2025-4 resolution on organics waste management. I graduated from Fort Lewis in May with a major in environmental conservation and management, and was lucky enough to intern with Table to Farm Compost for 3 semesters. And I'm here to speak on future generations. It is important to be positive leaders for future generations, as landfills are the 3rd largest source of climate-emitting methane in the U.S. with shrinking capacity. It's important we consider this resolution. As part of the resolution, it talks about how the city will be researching organic waste ordinances in other communities. For part of my senior research thesis, I looked at the barriers to community-wide composting. And in doing that, I was able to talk with communities like Boulder and Aspen who have gone forward in these different ordinances, and they were more than pleased to talk to me and give me information on the process and their successes and what they needed help on. And so I think that will provide Durango very helpful information, as well as good partnerships with other communities in Colorado. So Durango is, I see, prepared for this. Not only do we have passionate, action-oriented, and grassroots company like Table to Farm Compost, but we also have students at Fort Lewis College with young, creative, and environmentally focused abilities to help us along the way. Resolution 2025-4 is an opportunity for the Durango community of all ages to come together, to learn along the way, and to be a leader in climate-smart initiatives in Colorado for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person signed up to speak is Monique DeGorio. I can never say that name. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Monique DeGiorgio. I'm here to speak on Resolution 2025-4, and I do live in the city of Durango. The first thing I wanted to do was just thank each of you for this resolution, because it was maybe a month ago that you heard so many comments on the importance of this issue, and I have to say I'm floored that this is on the agenda. You really took it seriously. The resolution is a really important step forward. And I just really want to applaud your leadership, because it's democracy in action, and it's really cool to see that you listened to the importance of this, and that the resolution will give us the information that we need in 2026. And so I look forward to working with you this year. I hope that we can take some action in 2026 based on what we learned this year. I know that I will say for the record that I am co-owner of Table to Farm Compost, so I obviously have an interest in my business, but I also, in the 2 minutes left, want to use my biology brain to tell you a little bit about compost and what I love about this business and why I'm dedicating my life to it. I think all of you know I've played different roles in the community, and composting is just incredible. I basically say we're farmers of microorganisms, so it's a full circle model, both from a business perspective and from a natural resources perspective. We divert food waste and, by the way, wildfire mitigation from our landfills, bring it to a farm, let the microorganisms do the work. It creates a soil amendment. It's like magic that now 30 farmers buy from us. So you go to the farmers market at the CSAs, they're using our compost to grow food. And all of that happens in a way that keeps resources in La Plata County. And many of our residents are here in the city of Durango. So it's a really special thing that we're doing. I will say one of my most proud points is that quite a few people on the Front Range look to us as a leader here. So I think whatever we do here will be really important for other communities. And I appreciate your leadership. So I hope that you support the resolution tonight.
Next up is Taylor Hanson. The next after that is L.E. Morris.
I'm Ellie. I am a resident of Durango, and I'm also speaking on the composting. Again, I was here before, and I agree and want to reiterate the thanks that y'all considered our voices and that you are now looking at actually implementing this plan. And I'm just going to give you credit and assume we're going forward with this since we've gotten this far. And I want to give you some solutions and options to look into. So the first one is, have you heard of Scrap It? That's the name of the program in Buffalo, New York. They had a test run, and they had 2,000 citizens that were participating in it. And how many tons of waste do you think that they saved? Wait, might be pounds. It was a lot. Pounds. 18,000 did not go into their landfill from just 2,000 residents. So they decided to actually support that going forward based on their pilot program, and theirs is completely free. There is another one, Hamburg, and they also did a test pilot, and they took a slightly different route, the one that's a little closer to what we have suggested for Durango. They now have a $3 buy-in from the citizens, and then the rest of it is supported by the municipal city. So there's some really great examples out there that we can look into. And then I had some ideas. I've had some personal sadness in my life, so I don't have the graphics for you, but I will share with you another little small quiz. What do you think might be some lifestyle solutions that would really help the environment? We hear about EV cars, right? Well, that's like number 23, and they take around about 10 gigatons of carbon out of the environment. Onshore wind turbines do about 50, that's number 6. Going to a plant-based diet is the second one, and that takes about 80 out. But removing food waste from landfills is the number one lifestyle choice that can be taken to limit how much carbon is going out. And that is up to 90 gigatons that is removed from the environment. And y'all probably know about the environmental triangle. And it basically says if it's good for the environment, it's good for the economy, and it's good for us. And so the landfill would cost 1.5 million, and the proposed group with the, I just saw the time, we'd only have 173K. So it's also really good for that. And I'm going to close one more time with a haiku because everybody liked it last time. Composting is grand. Nature, people, finances. Durango, let's go.
Thank you.
The last one would be Taylor Hansen, if he is here now.
Yeah. Yes. Great.
Okay, I'm Taylor Hansen, co-owner, managing member at Table to Farm Compost. There you go. I want to share an inspiring story about small-scale community composting's ability to make a big difference. The first of its kind carbon capture plant in the world is the Orca carbon capture plant in Iceland. This plant cost roughly $15 million to build, plus the ongoing fixed costs to staff, operate, and maintain. It uses direct air capture to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. The plant uses dozens of large fans to pull in air and pass it through a filter. The filter, in combination with heat, removes carbon dioxide, which is later mixed with water and pushed into the ground. This plant removes 4,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide a year from the atmosphere. Methane is a byproduct of decaying food scraps and organic material breaking down in the landfill. Methane, over a 20-year period of time, has 76 times the warming capacity as carbon dioxide. Food scrap and organic material represent 25 to 40% of the municipal solid waste stream. This diversion is climate change reducing low-hanging fruit. It will not cost our community $15 million to build a state-of-the-art facility. What we can do is continue to mindfully create habits in our small mountain community that meaningfully impact our local soils, our local regenerative agricultural efforts, support our local farmers, local small business jobs, and local carbon dioxide diversion. Community composting by Table to Farm Compost diverts around 1,200 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent a year. This is equal to approximately 1,500 tons of organic material diverted annually. With 800 or so customers and several large commercial accounts, this represents about 1/6 of the households in Durango and less than 1/10 of commercial businesses in the city. Full-scale community-wide organics recycling will result in an astonishing 4,000 plus metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent diverted a year. This is a larger net impact than the first of its kind Orca plant in Iceland. It's empowering for citizens to make such a big difference together in a small community, regardless of changing environmental federal policies or priorities. Something we say often at Table to Farm and moving through challenging obstacles is onward. So on behalf of the Table to Farm team, we say onward. Small 5-gallon buckets make a bigger impact than we realize. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, although he has not signed up under public comment, there is a gentleman in the attendee list that has signed up, that has raised his hand online. I don't know if you want to see if they want to speak. Or...
Yeah, we can see if they want to speak and what item they are speaking on to make sure it's on the agenda for tonight. What's the name? I can't.
Mike McComb.
Mike, you should be able to unmute your mic now.
Mike McComb, can you unmute? Did you want to give public comment?
Can you hear me?
Yes. What item were you wanting to speak on tonight?
I'm also speaking on the composting item. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact resolution number.
Excellent. That's 11.4. So just state if you're a city
Excellent.
resident and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, I'm a resident of the city of Durango, and I too am a student at Fort Lewis College. And recently my class, Sustainability by Design, actually made a presentation to council with regard to public transportation. So we've been in before. My final paper, together with 2 other students, was on we were to look at bringing an idea from another city to the city of Durango that would bring about sustainability. And we chose to look at composting, and we used as our model the city of Seattle. I'm an older student, so I actually lived in Seattle for 24 years, and they are rated as the #1 city in the nation with regard to their composting success. And it goes back to the 1980s. They actually had a landfill crisis, and both landfills ended up as Superfund sites. And so tipping rates went up 80%. So people's garbage rates skyrocketed. And as sort of the evolution of that, in 2009, the city of Seattle started doing curbside composting using a single bin, and they discovered through studies that it was better to use one bin rather than doing a bucket for compost and something else for leaves and grass. In 2011, that went to multifamily, and in 2015, they completely outlawed putting any food waste in the trash. And it was a fascinating study because the end result of this, they partnered with a company called Cedar Grove Composting, much like Table to Farm as an outside contractor. But now the cost of a 96-gallon garbage bin for a resident of Seattle is $131. The 96-gallon compost yard waste bin is $13, 1/10 of the cost. And so it's fascinating that this can actually be a successful program and also cost effective, not to mention what the other speakers commented on with regard to what this does environmentally. And what I can tell you is we wrote an 8-page paper, myself and my classmates Gavin and Jada. I'd be more than happy to share that with you. It's got all the facts and figures about Seattle, and really just kind of opens one's eyes to how this works in another city and can also work in Durango. When I moved to Durango, I was floored that there was not a composting bin, because I also lived in Bend, Oregon, where they had the same exact program as the city of Seattle. I've been so inspired by this, I plan to do my capstone research next semester on urban composting programs, and I would be more than happy to share with you the results of that research. And again, could email someone my paper or our paper from last semester. I think it's a good read. That's it. My time's up.
Thank you.
No one else has signed up, Mayor.
Okay. Item 8, the consent agenda. May I have a reading of the consent agenda?
8.1 is approval of meeting minutes. 8.11 is approval of minutes of the City Council regular meeting on December 3rd, 2024. 8.12 is approval of minutes of the City Council regular meeting on December 17th, 2024. 8.2 is final reading of ordinances, with 8.2.1 final reading of ordinance 2025-0001, amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 12, Junk, Wrecked, and Abandoned Property, Article 3, Vehicles, Section 12.12-42, Prohibitions. 8.2.2 is ordinance O 2025-02, amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 21, Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Public Places, Article 3, Snow and Ice, Section 21-36, removal by owner, tenant, or occupant of premises. 8.2.3 is ordinance O 2025-03, amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 1, General Provisions, Section 1-13, Codes Kept on File. 8.2.4 is ordinance 2025-04, amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 1, General Provisions, Section 1-14, Acceptance of Code. 8.2.5 is ordinance 2025-05, amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances of Chapter 24, Traffics and Vehicles, Article 3, Parking Administration and Regulations, Section 24-75, authorization for towing and impoundment of illegally parked vehicles. 8.3 is adoption of resolutions by consent. 8.3.1 is a resolution regarding the acceptance of the City of Durango and La Plata County joint annexation petition of County Roads 250 and 251. 8.3.2 is a resolution for the appropriation of a $6,000 LPEA sponsorship award to the Durango Police Department. 8.4 is approval of other administrative items, with 8.4.1 being approval of the designation of locations for public notices to comply with the requirements of the State Sunshine Act. 8.5 is a request for a public hearing, with an 8.5.1 request for a public hearing for the City of Durango and La Plata County joint annexation petition of County Roads 250 and 251 to be held on February 19th, 2025. 8.6 is introduction of ordinances. 8.6.1 is introduction of an ordinance for the City of Durango and La Plata County joint annexation petition of County Roads 250 and 251. 8.6.2 is introduction of an ordinance for an easement for La Plata Electric Association to provide lighting to the Animas River Trail, with that hearing scheduled for January 22nd, 2025. And I have no requests for excused absences.
Great. Any counselor want to remove anything from the consent agenda? Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
I'll second.
Council discussion? Can I get a vote?
Councilor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Councilor Bosman's,
Yes.
Mayor Buell,
Yes.
Councilor Youssef.
Yes.
Right, nothing was pulled from the consent agenda, so we're on, and there's no public hearings under item 10, so we're on to item 11, resolutions. Item 11.1, a resolution submitting to the registered electors of the city a ballot issue concerning reauthorization of the 2005 sales tax and election of 3 city council members, and authorizing the city manager to sign an intergovernmental agreement, IGA, with the La Plata County Clerk and Recorder for an April 2025 election. Okay.
Items 11.1 and 11.2 are both administrative items related to the 2025 April election. This regularly scheduled election, of course, is for 3 council seats and a possible ballot issue. The clerk's office is currently meeting with interested candidates, completing candidate affidavits, and issuing nomination petitions. Each potential candidate is required to collect 25 signatures of registered city electors between the dates of January 15th and February 4th. Once those signatures are confirmed by our office, the candidate is declared verified, and their name will be placed on the April ballot for the voters to consider. Item 11.1 is an IGA agreement, intergovernmental agreement. On August 6, 2024, Council passed a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an IGA with La Plata County for a November of 24 election. However, that was later determined that election would be held in conjunction with the regular election in April. So this new resolution would nullify the previous resolution and authorize the city manager to sign the IGA for the April election. 8.2 is a city charter item relating to section 2-193 of the city charter, which specifies that our municipal election can be conducted by mail ballot if so authorized by council by resolution. So this resolution under 11.2 would authorize my office to conduct the April 2025 election via mail ballot.
All right. For 11.1, do we have a motion?
I move to approve a resolution submitting to the registered electors of the city a ballot issue concerning reauthorization of the 2005 sales tax and election of 3 council members, and authorizing the city manager to sign an intergovernmental agreement with the La Plata County clerk and recorder for an April 2025 election.
Excellent. I'll second. Great. Council discussion. Okay, can I get a vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Youssef.
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
and Mayor Buell.
Yes. Item 11.2, we heard from Faye about it. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve a resolution authorizing the April 1st, 2025 election to be conducted by mail ballot pursuant to section 2-193 of the Code of Ordinances.
Second.
Council discussion? Can I get a vote?
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Mayor Buell,
Yes?
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Youssef.
Yes. All right. Item 11.3, a resolution submitting to the registered electors of the city at the April 1st, 2025 election a ballot issue and title concerning an extension of an expiring sales and use tax. City Attorney.
Actually, the agenda document was prepared by your office, but however, this is the ballot language that council had considered earlier last fall for the reauthorization of the 2005 sales tax. I won't read the entire ballot language in full, but it is provided in your packet.
Yes, excellent. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve a resolution submitting to the registered electors of the city at the April 1st, 2025 election a ballot issue and title concerning an extension of an expiring sales and use tax.
I'll second. Council discussion?
Yeah, I'm going to make a comment here. As I outlined on many occasions over the past almost 2 years, I have concerns with the process of how we got to this point, and as a result, the actual ballot question, which part of this resolution. Even though I will support this item, I do wish to share my concerns again for the record. And the concern is with the $0.25 going to capital projects, and in specific the renovations of the former 9R building for a new city hall, without us ever having properly evaluated any other alternative. The ballot includes increasing debt by 61 million at a repayment cost of 123 million, making the total cost for the new city hall and police department building around 114 million, or almost $15,000 for each household in our city. I think our community deserves a proper evaluation of any other alternative before committing so much money. And I've raised this concern numerous times without changes or actions. It's my understanding that the new city hall would be in the historical building part of the former 9R building and would take up a significant amount of money. The current police department building seems to be too small, currently in poor condition. I believe that would be in the former Big Picture building, which would require partial demolition and or large renovation. The other part of the ballot question relates to the $0.25 going to post parks, open space and trails, which I totally support. Something that, according to an economic study, pays itself back, I believe, 2- or 3-fold. So in a way, it's not even an expense. And that's on top of the benefit of post facilities for our residents, community and visitors. I support the post allocation and also support a new police department. But for as far as the city hall at the historical building goes, which is certainly a legacy project, which we would be paying for many years, I could be supportive if we had evaluated alternatives and this was the best option, but we haven't. And with the associated cost, I, as one councillor, do not believe we are financially responsible, even though if we would have followed an, in my opinion, correct process, the outcome could have been the same, being the 9R building. I heard comments that the post and the police department building, both of which seem mostly supported by our community, are being held as leverage to move forward on a new city hall legacy project with no other options. But with the ballot question, our community will decide, and I agree with that. The ballot question itself could have been better, in my opinion, with clear language on review and prioritization by a council-appointed advisory board for both post and capital expenses. The current language excludes capital projects and only covers the expenses being submitted to an advisory board, not the content or prioritization of projects. And for the record, I'm not necessarily against an R&R building if we would have assessed alternatives, but I'm not allowed to abstain for lack of information in the current process. Given the importance of the post funding and police department funding, and despite the concerns I've raised over the years on the process, we have now reached the point that we need to move forward and let our community decide. So I will support this ballot despite all that, and I look forward to a vote by our residents.
I would politely disagree that we did have an assessment done. One of our financial analysts, Elliot Fitz, went before City Council a couple of times during study sessions to give exactly those assessments, specifically new build, how much it would cost in today's money, how much this renovation costs. So I guess I would disagree that the assessment was conducted. Maybe not the effort that you would like to have seen, but it was conducted. I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. Additionally, I've had the opportunity to speak with many community members on this issue, and the common thread that I've heard is that community members feel as if some of the mechanisms to engage their local government were cut off with some of the boards and commissions. I understand the need to consolidate those boards, and this ballot initiative specifically has those folks asking about public engagement. Previously, we had a Parks and Rec board specifically speaking to capital projects funded by the different sales taxes. And with the consolidation of these boards, they feel that there isn't a great outlet for them to advocate for specific projects other than the financial advisory board. Additionally, they feel that there isn't a lot of clarity centered around where the quote unquote list of capital projects live and the best way to go about advocating for a particular project. I had the chance to sit with our city manager on a one-on-one last week, and we were able to find these capital projects, how much money was budgeted, how much money is going to be spent, and any sort of updates that were on that, in addition to a 1-year and a 5-year plan on those projects. So while we did have to find that in the 2025 budget book, and it was a little bit to sift through, the information was there. And so we discussed strategies to better view that information and maybe have it easier to come by. I think there's some opportunities there. And as we have consolidated our boards and commissions, I think that we have also made immense strides in seeking public input. We've spoken at length for the last year since we've hired our community engagement specialist, Clancy, about who we've hired into the programs and what programs we've instituted to really garner more robust public engagement. I mean, talk about the walk and roll and, more opportunities for us to engage with the public. But there's still more work to be done. And I think that's the silver lining in this, is allowing us to see where those opportunities lie. And nothing's going to be perfect. And so our roles as elected officials are to help guide and shape this current process to be better and more public friendly. That being said, I think the Finance Advisory Board has the bandwidth to continue to take this on, but this whole process ultimately has helped me understand that there are still modifications to make in order for this to be more seamless on the public-facing side. I will continue to work with council and staff to continue to make engagement with our local government easy and approachable. I think there's, again, opportunities there where we can really have better engagement on that side of things.
I did just want to clarify one thing real quick on Olivier's comment. The 9R build, this bond passing doesn't commit city council to we can't commit future councils to this project. It authorizes us to issue debt up to that amount of money. And so just so that's clear, you can't ever like commit future councils. Yeah. And I also wanted to agree with some of Dave's comments. I too talked to the FAB board. I do feel like that if the need arises, they do have bandwidth to evaluate Parks and Rec projects if that's important. But I think more importantly, what I've actually heard from numerous individuals in our city and community members is that there's more of a voice being heard. I have like 4 or 5 emails from soccer dad, from just from people that haven't been able to sit on parks or previous boards because of the huge time commitment, that are able to come to the Engage Durango or the walk and rolls, or maybe sit on like a 3 or 4 month reprioritization of projects for Parks and Rec that would be done like biannually, like Clancy was talking about in the study session. And so I think that there's opportunities to engage the people that want to be engaged. And I think that there's opportunities to engage more citizens as long as we do it right and continue to push staff to continue to incorporate it. And so I'm an advocate for that. I'm an advocate for people being engaged. I love it. I love my walk and rolls with people. I love, city council office hours. And so I just want to continue down that path. So those are my comments. All right. Anything else?
Well, thank you. I appreciate all those comments. I will support the language as written, but what I won't support is deciding upon the board to oversee the 2005 reauthorization right now, because the language there is vague enough, given we're having an election in April, to possibly get 3 counselors to reinstate some of the boards. I do not want to do what happened to me before I came on this council at that very last council meeting, where they eliminated the boards with no community input. They just went out and voted it down. No more boards. I do believe in community input, and that's what I would like to see going forward with the 2005 reauthorization. Thank you.
And I would just add to my comment that I think that I'm very happy to see this resolution in front of us now. I think it's a great opportunity for the community to decide how to proceed forth, and whether they want to continue to support this tax going forward. I think we all know that there's many long-term benefits for our community if it does pass in April. I will support the resolution as written. I do think it is vague enough such that we can continue to have discussions on how we can best engage with the community on making sure that we have active public citizen engagement through this process. And we will continue to look into that. But for tonight, we're approving the resolution for a ballot language, and I think it is a very it's a great stage. I'm happy that we're here. I really appreciated the comments from the people who stepped forward, supporting this resolution, recognizing the importance of quality of life for our parks and recreation and facilities for our city staff. I think it was said very well by Ms. Anisi that, having our staff in a unified place together and also in a historic building, and just having the facilities to do the work that they need to do to provide public safety for our community is extremely important. And so I'm really happy that we're here and that we're all in agreement that this language, this resolution that we're looking at may be a very good start to move forward. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Can I get a vote?
Mayor Buell?
Yes.
Councillor Youssef?
Yes.
Councillor Bosmans?
Yes.
Councillor Woodruff?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie?
Yes.
Great. Item 11.4.
Mayor Buell, if I may.
Oh,
Sorry. With the passage of 11.1, 11.3, it's my opinion the Colorado Fair Practice Election Act has been enacted. You have now submitted something to the registered voters. That's significant. I put out a memo on it, but what it means is that no city resource may be used in promoting either side of the issues or either of any of those candidates that may sign up to run. That would include the use of these microphones at these meetings. So the discussion that you had tonight about your position on these issues, it's kind of the end of it. Now that you voted in favor of it, the act is triggered. You cannot use this meeting, these microphones, or any city resource to promote either side of an issue.
Great, thank you for that reminder. All right, item 11.4, a resolution directing city manager to conduct organic waste management research and pilot programs and to form a citizens focus group. Mr. Marty Poole.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Marty Poole, Sustainability Manager for the City of Durango. This item comes up under organizational stewardship objective for the city's strategic plan, specifically 1.3 environmental sustainability. So this is regarding potential future actions the city can take around organic waste. These slides are some that I shared at the study session last month, but just a quick refresher. So when we talk about organic waste, what does that term mean? It really is anything that can be composted, food waste, food-related paper waste, biosolids, leaves, other yard waste, anything that we can use those natural processes to turn back into soil amendments. So why does organic waste matter? You heard some public comment, some citizen comments today about the importance of organic waste management, and specifically the two that I like to highlight are those reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. When organic waste goes to the landfill and gets buried, it breaks down anaerobically and turns into methane, which is a very potent greenhouse gas. I had the chance to visit the landfill of Fort Lewis College. I suggest all of you give it a shot sometime. You can smell the methane coming off of the landfill. It's not pleasant. Also, and I think I don't want this issue to go unaddressed. There are extremely valuable agricultural nutrients in organic waste, and if you put those in the landfill, those are essentially lost for valuable use. And instead, that those nutrients have to be supplemented with other sources, often synthetically produced fertilizers. And last but not least, you certainly have the consideration of the fact that our landfill does take up space and does have a limited lifespan. Just a quick background refresher for the timeline of the city's actions around organic waste and composting programs. In the summer of 2021, the city issued a request for a proposal for a public-private partnership for curbside food waste compost collections. In that RFP, the city included language that the City of Durango may consider mandatory citywide composting programs within 3 years, but the language was pretty open-ended, and it was sort of more context. It was providing context to the potential those submitting proposals, and not so much a firm commitment by any council resolution at that time. So Table to Farm Compost submitted and was awarded that partnership contract, and has been providing curbside composting collections over the past 3 years. The city's role in that is to educate residents around the benefits of composting and direct residents to Table to Farm as their option for curbside composting. That is currently an opt-in service that any business or resident in our household in Durango can take part in. In 2023, staff provided operational updates on how this public-private partnership program was going, and an associated market study that was performed with the city staff and Table to Farm staff performed to gain some insights into how the compost services were going. There's no action taken at that time in 2023. And then in 2024, staff provided the study session update that was just last month, and the recommendation was that additional actions and a citizen focus group would be the best approach to evaluate the eventual recommendation for council action. Some timing considerations related to other really kind of big ticket items here we're looking at for 2025 in our community. We certainly have the sales tax reauthorization that you've been already discussing tonight. We are already underway with the formation of a stormwater fee focus group to understand how that crucial piece of our infrastructure and services in the city are funded and maintained. And of course, emphasis on affordability and cost of living continue to be council and staff priorities for the city of Durango. So within that context, I just think it's important to point out and prevent any misinformation that tonight's vote would be anything like you are approving mandatory composting tonight or anything like that. That's not what's being put before you. What's being put before you tonight is a series of actions that the city manager would direct staff to take to really understand all of the options that could be that we could take as a community, and then present those findings and a recommendation to council by the end of the year. So it's really a green light to move forward with that intentional effort and bring a final decision before you. Some things that were mentioned at the study session and some things that counselors brought up. Specifically, you mentioned pay-as-you-throw programs. So this is the idea of a resident or business can change the frequency of their pickup or the size of their bin or the types of bin they have, and pay different amounts. So you could, for instance, have a smaller trash bin because you're putting more items in your recycle and compost bin, and your cost of services could be reflected in that. I think the city of Longmont provides a really interesting example for like these different packages that you can buy or subscribe to for those services. We have low income rebates for compost services. That would be similar to or modeled after the utility rebates that we already have here for the city of Durango for trash and recycle and water utility. We could look at expanding restaurant and commercial food service programs. This is especially ripe for opportunity because of the Visit Durango merger and the outreach to the hospitality businesses that can occur through that that visitor and hospitality lens. And then considering options for compost drop-off sites. These are all examples of things we can be doing as pilot programs. They're not written in stone in the resolution that you'll be voting on, but I just want to highlight some things that we are prepared to do for investigating best practices and doing these case studies for our community so that we are prepared to bring all of the best information possible to the focus group and eventually back to you as council for consideration. So with that, it is recommended that City Council by motion adopt a resolution. I apologize for the number. Is resolution 250004, directing city manager to research organic waste management ordinances in other communities, conduct pilot organic waste management programs as case studies for Durango, and subsequently form an organic waste management citizen focus group.
Excellent, thank you. Do I have a motion?
I move to adopt resolution 25-04, directing the city manager to research organic waste management ordinances in other communities, conduct pilot organic waste management programs as case studies for Durango, and subsequently form an organic waste management citizen focus group.
I'll second.
Great, council discussion?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for your presentation, Marty. I brought this up last year in the city council meeting as a new business item, which is later on the agenda. And I appreciate your proactive approach to have a resolution ready beforehand. I'm also grateful for Table to Farm and all they do, and for all the people that have communicated to council on this topic. Typically, the mayor responds to emails sent to council as a whole, and I believe she has done so. But all of council receives these emails, and I also wanted to thank you for all your comments. I've been an environmental consultant for 20 years, and I'm very committed to the environment and sustainability. Composting and organic waste is very common in various parts of the world, and I personally actively do so as well. So I'm very glad to see this moving forward to the next steps. So thank you.
I feel I'm going to vote for this. I feel like the means outweigh the costs associated with this, but I would just like to echo kind of what you had in your presentation, Mr. Poole, that, you know, we talk about affordability and attainability as it's in our, you know, our strategic plan. You know, I think that's really important that we keep that in mind. And just as we move forward, especially with the new council in April, we're going to, you know, keep nickel and diming people potentially. We didn't authorize an 8-cent increase in the sales tax because we thought it would be too much. So just important to, in my mind, that we keep affordability and attainability high of mind. But again, I think the means outweigh the costs here, and I think this is going to be a real benefit down the road. It's just I think we got to be strategic about what sort of initiatives we're gonna put forth that ultimately the constituents are going to pay on.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing what information you bring us. I do have a question on the focus group, but I'm very much hopeful that when you're looking at these programs, and I just briefly looked at the city of Longmont, like I'm glad you're looking at other communities. They have an opt-in program. Something like that would, you know, perhaps be a good, you know, a good step forward. And then there's other communities that don't have opt-in programs. Like I was looking at Seattle. That's interesting. So I look forward to hopefully a very thorough review of these different programs and then our own innovative thinking on top of it, like we always do. But I absolutely see the need and the benefit of this type of program in our community. I think we all do, or at least the majority of us does, after hearing that you did tell us that some people don't recycle. So not everybody does, but I think the majority does. And I look forward to these future discussions. And if the action takes place when I'm no longer on council, I really still hope that as a community, we're moving forward in a environmentally friendly way. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you. I think it's a good model that was kind of spearheaded by the stormwater plan that we're looking at potentially, and really kind of taking our time to make sure we're doing what's best for our entire community. And yeah, I look forward to you working with you know, Monique and the gang going forward, and you know, continuing to do and provide recommendations for what's best. So, anyone else? Can I get a vote?
Councillor Youssef?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie?
Yes.
Councillor Woodruff?
Yes.
Mayor Buell?
Yes.
Councillor Bosman's?
Yes.
All right, on to item 12, first consideration of ordinances. Item 12.1, first consideration of an ordinance for an easement for La Plata Electric Association to provide electrical utility service to the Roots and Wings Aviation Hangar at Durango La Plata County Airport. Hi.
Here this evening, under the guiding framework of our city's mission, vision, and values, to present the first consideration of an ordinance for an easement for La Plata Electric Association to provide electric utility service to the Roots and Wings Aviation Hangar at Durango La Plata Airport. Staff believes that this initiative is in alignment with the strategic plan goal of reliable infrastructure and community connectivity. Wanted to provide a context map for you guys to understand where this is spatially within our community. It is on the north end of the airport property. The GIS imagery, the aerial imagery on our city's GIS viewer does not have the building itself, but I provided an image from Google Maps. It's the longer hangar building on the left of those two long hangar buildings that will be under consideration. This is the survey provided by the applicant showing the actual exhibit and legal description of the proposed easement. Here is a detail of that. It is a 20-foot wide easement running about 30 feet in linear length, and it will be an underground power line running from the point of beginning, which is where it connects to the existing electric infrastructure, to the point of termination at the hangar. This easement will provide essential electrical utility infrastructure connectivity to the hangar, and the presence of the hangar on airport property has several benefits, including increased airport rent revenue, increased utility revenue, increased based aircraft count at the airport, and increased yields from higher fuel flowage rates at the airport. But all of these benefits depend on the hangar being fully electrified in order to come to fruition, which is what this utility easement would accomplish. The timeline of this project began on the December 3rd meeting when it was introduced. It is before you tonight for first consideration, and if approved, its final consideration will be at the January 22nd council meeting. To date, no advanced public comments have been received by Community Development Department. I've included a recommended motion there for your consideration, and we'd be happy to address any questions.
Great, thank you. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the first consideration of an ordinance to create an easement for La Plata Electric Association to provide electric utility service to the Root and Wings Aviation hangar at Durango La Plata County Airport.
I'll second.
Council discussion? Can I get a vote?
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Mayor Beal.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 12.2, first consideration of an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 7, Code of Conduct and Code of Ethics, Section 2-205, Mandatory Standards of Ethical Conduct. Mr. Morgan.
Madam Mayor, this is one of the continuing series of changes that we're making based on the recommendations of outside counsel to update the code. It sounds sensational, but it's not. It just changes a couple of words. Consistent with the court case that says ethic codes can only apply to individuals while they're doing their official capacity work.
Great. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2-Administration, Article 7, Code of Conduct and Code of Ethics, Section 2-205, Mandatory Standards of Ethical Conduct.
I'll second.
Council discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. You mentioned a court case. Was there something that?
So what happened was, based on my recommendation last year, we hired a company out of Florida, and it's not a company. It's an attorney and law firm that represents the Municode Corporation, which is the corporation that houses and puts online all of the digital forms of municipal codes. They offer a service where they have an attorney come in and review your code for compliance with multiple court cases across the country, Colorado, United States Supreme Courts, and then they make recommendations based on this. So it's not a specific case that happened in Durango or Colorado. That's just generally what happens. And I believe, based on the initial conversations I had with them last year, that this particular change was one that came as a result of someone challenging an ethics thing in some other state where it wasn't specific as to conduct in their official capacity.
I glad you clarified that. I didn't want to see another court case coming to us. And then this does not apply to council, or does it also, because that was separated from the Code of Ethics, correct? Or is this?
The council last year made a change to where elected councilors in the city of Durango are governed by the Colorado State Independent Ethics Commission. So you are correct. This no longer applies to councilors, would only apply to appointed officials and board members, appointed board members.
Thank you for clarifying.
Sure.
Anyone else? Can I get a vote?
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Mayor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Youssef.
Yes.
All right, item 12.3, first consideration of an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 3, Alcoholic Beverages, Section 3-1, Definitions.
Madam Mayor, again, this is part of that continuing series of updates to the code. This is a code to the wine or to the alcoholic beverages, which tracks changes that the state made. I believe this one has to do with carry-out beer and wine, but again, we're just tracking the changes that the state made.
Do I have a motion?
Move to approve an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration. Oh, I'm gonna try that again. Strike that. I move to approve an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 3, Alcoholic Beverages, Section 3-1, Definitions.
I'll second.
Council discussion? All right, can I get a vote?
Mayor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie.
Yes.
Moving right along, item 13, public comment on city matters not scheduled for a vote tonight. Can I get a reading of the public comment rules? All right. Do we have anyone signed up to speak?
We have 3 people signed up, Mayor. The first is Jessica Church.
Evening. My name is Jessica Church. I am a resident outside the city limits of Durango. However, I am a parent of a small child and a concerned citizen, and I do most of my business and get services in the city of Durango and also work within the city limits. I signed up to ask today of the council or to request some consideration for the recent news on a camp cleanup that occurred on January 2nd of 12 encampments, 8 out of 12 encampments, I'm sorry, in which those unhoused neighbors of ours had 8 cubic yards and 6 truckloads of debris removed on January 2nd. Tonight, the forecast originally was supposed to be in the single digits, and I simply ask respectfully for the city to consider whether there's an existing formal protocol for these types of cleanup events, and one that might include advance notice, weather considerations, personal belongings storage, alternative housing, etc., for those who might be displaced by such an event. And I also want to mention that I fully acknowledge the complexity of this issue, and simply want to ask that, we as a community consider, we as a community being La Plata and city residents, consider the health and safety of both those housed and unhoused in addressing these matters. So, for example, a dialogue of adopting some type of resolution to study best practices for this type of cleanup event might be an example of something the public engagement process could include to begin exploring potential solutions to ensure health and human safety of all individuals impacted. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We don't normally respond to the dais, but if you want to shoot me an email or us an email, I can forward some information along. We had an update today on those encampments and just some specifics, as well as the community compassion warming shelter that will be open all week this week, I believe. Is that right? Because of the low temperatures tonight, and where people can find that information and stuff. And so City Council at durangoco.gov. Thank you. And I can forward along some information.
Beautiful. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
thank
I
you.
appreciate your time.
The next person signed up is Julia Connolly.
Mayor and city councilors. I'm speaking on a similar issue, same issue. My name's Julia Conley, and I'm a resident of Durango. I'm also a street outreach worker with the Community Investment Alliance, a nonprofit organization partnering with local communities to develop housing solutions. Since June, I've connected with more than 50 of our unhoused neighbors in our community, and I've listened to their stories, provided outreach resources, witnessed firsthand their resilience. It's clear to me that homelessness is not a problem to be solved. It's a community of people who deserve humanity and dignity, just like anyone else. Today, I want to share my deep concern about the harmful impacts of homeless camp sweeps. Sweeps forcibly remove people and their belongings from public or private property, creating unnecessary harm. They damage physical and mental health, destroy life-saving resources, including medications and medical equipment, sever connections to care and housing pathways, undermine trust in service providers, push people into more and more dangerous and isolated spaces. Our unhoused neighbors are already doing their best to survive in harsh conditions, especially in sub-freezing temperatures. Sweeps take away their essential resources and exacerbate the challenges they face. With the warming center, folks have to leave their camps in order to go, leaving things available to be stolen or damaged in the cold conditions. One mother with an infant told me they say they keep our stuff, but they don't. Every time I lose everything, tents, clothes, sleeping bags, and have spent thousands replacing it. Without help, I don't know how I could have kept my son safe in the cold. Another man shared how he provides for his camp community, gathering warm clothing for others whenever possible. Despite his best efforts to support those around him, sweeps make survival even harder. An Indigenous man spoke through tears about the brutality of being displaced repeatedly. They say we'll be taken care of, but then they come with bulldozers. When will it stop? This is my family, my community, and I'll protect them to the end. An older gentleman managing chronic health issues explained how sweeps isolate him from doctors and pharmacies, saying, "You don't want to be the reason I have a heart attack and die." I understand the concerns about long-term camping, including environmental impacts, drug use, trespassing, but sweeping encampments doesn't solve these issues. It only displaces people over and over again without addressing the root causes of homelessness, like the lack of affordable housing, mental health support, and addiction services. And research shows sweeps do not reduce crime in the long term and may actually increase violence in nearby areas. Instead of forcing our neighbors into more hidden and dangerous spaces, we need compassionate solutions. In the short term, I urge you to allow our unhoused neighbors to remain in their communities with life-preserving resources. In the long term, the solution is clear. We don't want to see people on the streets, put them in houses. Thanks.
And the last person signed up to speak is Antonia Espinoza. Antonio, I'm sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll just keep it short. To follow Miss Julia, aside from how blatantly inhumane it is to be left to feel disregarded and unimportant, we're essentially force-fed our own poison. Every year we're given supplies, tents, clothes, and among other essentials, and every year the police department finds a way to throw everything we're given into the trash. And because we aren't willing to freeze to death, we persist. I can only speculate at this point. I am not admitting anything. But worse than criminalization, we are forced to resort to crime. We don't want to steal and risk jail. We have to, because of how we are treated in a legal sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
No one else has signed up to speak, Mayor.
Okay. Next item is item 14, other new business. We have 14.1 discussion to direct city manager's office and staff to provide presentation on organic waste management, including recommendations and potential ordinance submitted by Councilor Bosmans. I know we had a couple.
Yeah, I'll just make the motion anyway. I'll make a motion to direct the city manager's office and staff to provide a presentation on organic waste management, including recommendations and potential ordinance.
Well, second.
May I just get a point of clarification? Does this conflict at all with the previous one that we'd already passed?
I think it makes it moot.
That's what I was wondering. It seems like it might be a mistake that it was earlier. I don't know.
Well, if it's seconded.
Seconded.
So I'll just make my point.
Just from an administrative side, just council, if you remember, I know it's been since early December, but I did send an email out after that council meeting. Just for consistency's sake from a staff side, we did the way with the stormwater. We came with the recommendation and then put it on the next agenda for the council to consider and discuss. This one for the study session, just to mix up with staff, obviously take accountability, responsibility for that. We kind of said, well, if the council wants to put it, place it on an agenda. And so while I think Councilor Bosmans did follow that direction and place it on an agenda to be consistent with what we did with another item, we went ahead and just placed it on the agenda so that we were consistent with what we did with the other stormwater. So in following with the letter of our ordinance that has the rules, Councilor Bosmans did bring it up under new business, so I am obligated to place that on the agenda. He did not withdraw it, therefore I kept it on there just to make sure that I followed the spirit of the law.
And Councilor Bosman is correct. It is a motion with a second on the floor. If he doesn't agree that it's moot and it passes or fails, it ends with the same result. So there's no wrong answer here. You can treat it however you like.
No, I made the motion because I appreciate what Marty did in being proactive and putting it as a resolution. I just thought it was a very interesting motion to make because there's people here that have voted against every new business item pretty much that I've done. And this would be maybe a first where I get support, even though you don't have to because it's irrelevant. So go for it with the vote for my side.
I'm just confused real quick. It's not that I don't agree with him because we're doing it. Does that make sense? And so I agree with him, but I don't want another agenda item or another presentation or another, does that make sense what I'm trying to say? So would I say no? No. Okay.
I can help you with the procedure, but not the politics.
Yes, I think at this point it'd be best if maybe, since we passed the ordinance to do sustainable ordinance, that if you could withdraw this and then we could move forward.
You can vote yes, which is the same, or you vote no, which is consistent with some behaviors. Really, just do it from my side, just do the roll call.
Behaviors, to be honest, it has to do with, I don't want another presentation. This is asking for a presentation and recommendations. I don't want another one on the agenda.
Okay.
That's all it is. It has nothing to do with not agreeing with you. Clearly, I agree with you because we just.
Since I made the mistake, it does appear redundant. Can I withdraw my second?
It is procedurally correct to withdraw a second.
Okay, I'm going to withdraw my second. It just seems redundant. We've already done this, so I don't understand. I thought it was maybe a mistake and that we were just doing it for administrative purposes, but I'll just withdraw my second in case anyone else wants to second it.
Okay, seeing there's no second, the motion falls. Just as a point of, because we're under new business, I wanted everyone to know I'm going to be calling a special meeting to meet with the Southern Ute Indian Tribe Tribal Council at their earliest convenience to have a lunch or dinner with us, with our council, just to discuss matters of importance between the city, Southern Ute Indian Tribe, the future, and just kind of have a meal together. Since the elections have took place, I think that it's a new year. It's a good time for that. So I just wanted to give notice that I will be calling a special meeting at their earliest convenience. So
I have another item, if I may.
Yes.
So this is for new business, so I can make a motion. This was explained on the last meeting, but I would like to inform you also that I do this pretty much every year without success, as it requires support from majority of council. But I will make a motion, no, I guess not a motion, but I will request during the next meeting, a new business item to be placed on the January 21st regular city council meeting, directing the city manager and staff to provide a presentation on the homeless situation, an update on what we have done, what the current status is, and I will word that a little bit better for the agenda item. It's correct, yeah? I just want to make sure that, because there's no motions.
Yep. All right. Anything else? Item 15, executive session. A motion to convene, I need a motion to convene an executive session to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRMS 24-6-402.
Jessica, your mic is muted.
Thank you very much. We're going to say that all over again. Item 15, executive session. Item 15.1 is a motion to convene an executive session to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRS 24-6-4023A2 concerning the intergovernmental agreement between La Plata County and the City of Durango for jail services and the 911 dispatch center. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Council discussion? Can I get a vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie?
Yes.
Councilor Woodruff?
Yes.
Councilor Youssef?
Yes.
Councilor Bosman's?
Yes.
Mayor Beal?
Yes. The time is now 7:58 p.m. and the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were Jose Madrigal, Melissa Youssef, Gilda Yazzie, myself, Jessica Buell, Dave Woodruff, Olivier Bosmans, Mark Morgan, Chief Bryce Current, right? I said it right. And Bob Rammer. For the record, council met in executive session to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRS 24-6-402B concerning the intergovernmental agreement between La Plata County and the City of Durango for jail services and the 911 dispatch center. Dispatch center. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meeting law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to make a motion from what was discussed in the executive session. I move. My God. Oh, okay, great. Just making sure. I just want to make sure I'm not doing anything wrong. I move to authorize the city attorney to seek judicial resolution of a conflict in state law regarding use of the jail and the sheriff's obligation to incarcerate, as well as authorize the city manager to charge an administrative fee associated with liability and other administrative costs for providing 911 services without a contract. These authorizations shall be suspended should the county agree to the extension of 2024 terms of 911 services and jail IGA for a period of 90 days by January 10th.
I'll second.
All right, council discussion. I'll just start. I can start, that's fine. I've been a part of 3 meetings now with the county in various capacities, with another elected official, with staff, and I had great hopes that we were moving in the right direction. The last meeting we had, we seemed like we had outlined dates and productive path forward. The email that we received on Friday that kind of reneged on the commitments we made in that meeting are concerning. It's concerning to me that there's no accountability going forward to the date of services for the IGA. I feel like our jail IGA is important for our community safety, for the benefit of our community, and I think it's a detriment to the city and the county that we can't come to an agreement. And I'm hopeful, I still am hopeful that tomorrow, I know the county is meeting and that they will, we've requested in a few, I've requested it, and I know the city attorney requested it in writing for a 90-day extension as to our previous agreement, so we can get to, since the county can't live up to the dates we agreed to in our meeting of the 21st to get our IGA going and agreed upon. Since the county can't live up to those dates, I'm hopeful that they'll put this injunction out and they'll give us a 90-day extension of previous terms so we can work together to get it on their timeline. And if not, I think it's important that we go forward to show the community that we are trying to work together, that we are trying to get to a resolution, and we're going to do what we think is right for the safety of our community. Anything else? All right, can I get a vote?
Councillor Woodruff.
Oh. Yeah, Melissa seconded. Okay, sorry. Yes.
Councillor Woodruff.
Yes.
Mayor Buell.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie.
Yes.
Councillor Youssef.
Yes.
Councillor Bosmans.
No.
All right, the next item on our agenda is adjournment. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Adjourn.